pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the County Board of Supervisors meeting, September the 30th, 2025. I hope everybody's ready for October tomorrow.
Give us just a second, please.
Good morning, sir.
Are you the real Shane?
Well, the real
The
shame.
real Shane's got his picture up here.
I was up there, so I gotta turn that off. Wait just a second till Shane gets back. Quiet. Not used to being this quiet.
Shane's in another room.
Let this thing turned off.
That picture's better looking than you anyway, so. Okay, moving on, is there any changes to the agenda?
I have one. Remove item B. It's not an accounts payable week. I just got a little happy on the agenda.
Okay, item B.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, meet with department heads and elected officials. Sarah Doty, auditor?
Good morning. Still plugging away with election items. Still accepting absentee ballots in the office up until October 6th. I can hear myself echo.
This is killing me.
But yeah, other than that, just plugging away, getting things ready for city school and busy.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Brandon, how's the IT department?
Going good, just being busy.
Good, okay, thank you. Sheriff Glendenning?
Good morning. Busy for us as well. We met with our medical provider last week. We were looking at options on how Flow State's going to take over the mental health side of it. Right now we have a tentative date of January 1, so that'll reduce our annual medical cost of the jail by about $12,000 because we have mental health built into that. As DHHS takes that over, then that'll be kind of a seamless transition because Flow State's a provider through DHHS. So we don't have that 100% confirmed, but that's what we're tentatively told is it's going to happen January 1st for Flow State and the state to take over mental health. We met with the U.S. Marshal for the Southern District of Iowa last week, Ted Comanches. He kind of makes his rounds every year or two. Wanted to let us know that, so we have two deputies that are members of the U.S. Marshal Service for the Violent Fugitive Task Force. Burlington has an officer, West Burlington has an officer now. He spoke very highly of what all those officers are doing countywide. Uses us as a selling point to others to get involved. They give us resources, they come here. It really matches well with what we do with the sex offender registry and compliance because they're involved in that. And then when we have violent individuals that we need to locate, they help us a lot with that, with manpower and other resources. And they're really good at finding people and they caught us something. So it's a great resource to have, great relationship. Just talk about how we can continue to build on that, but it's going really well. And then we worked on the emergency operations plan last week for West Burlington, just to help update some things there. Beyond that, our jail was at 70 this morning. Unfortunately, we still have 5 out of county because of the way our numbers are. We have 14 cells that are typically dedicated to females, and our female numbers are low. So They don't always balance out exactly, we'll be able to put 68 individuals in our more than 24-hour cells. So we do have 5 out of county, but we're down to 70 right now incarcerated, plus 1 juvenile is in the Lee County Juvenile Detention Center. That's because you mentioned that 2 weeks ago. You said we didn't have anybody in there.
Sorry.
That's all I've got for the board this week.
Okay, thank you. Rodney Gleason, how's maintenance?
Good morning, we're doing okay. Got a lot of different projects going on. We have an agenda item this morning, which also brings up, we got a maintenance position available, so we'll be posting that today externally. So if anybody's interested in applying for a lead maintenance position, we have a couple of those open. So we're going to post that till the 15th. You can go to the Des Moines County website, look under employment opportunities, and fill out an application there, and description. Also, the crisis center, they're just about completely moved out. So, they put in their notice, so they just got a few things left. Other than that, they're pretty well cleared out. So, we need to have a work session at some point in the near future on that, as well as work on getting the sheriff's office parking lot project going too. So, have those coming up the next couple of weeks. Other than that, we just got a lot going on.
Okay, thanks, Rodney.
Thank you.
Chris Bowmiller, Public Health.
Good morning. We're also keeping busy. We're in the middle of doing our flu shot clinics. We did one yesterday at Minneapolis City Hall. We'll do 2 more, October 17th and October 23rd from 10 to 2 at our office. We also have some COVID vaccines, so if anyone's interested, we do our immunizations on Tuesdays, and those are open to people 65 and older, or from 18 to 64 if they're immunocompromised. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Natalie, how's the reporter's office?
Good morning. Everything's going well in the recorder's office. Nothing new to share today.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, attorney's office?
We're busy. The juvenile that's in detention's actually been there for a while. He just got converted from the state doles to the county doles when he was ready to adult court. He's charged with 2 counts of robbery in the first degree involving firearms. So I know it costs money, but that's the place he probably needs to be right now. And he's not from here locally. He's from the Cedar Rapids area. But we're staying busy. We're working on getting our 3 murder cases scheduled for dates certain. Right now, it looks as though the Eric Rios trial will be in the first week of January, on January 6th. We have Tisha Bounds just got scheduled for February, and then hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll know when the Harper trial will go. But getting those set out and date certain, so there will be a lot of work going into things once we get a little bit closer to those.
Do you ever get the feeling that between the sheriff and your husband, they're trying to keep you busy?
I know my husband's not, because he wants me to retire. I can't speak for those underneath him. But yeah, it's just, I think the fact that we haven't cooled down is keeping things busy. People are still out and about. It's just like a second summer, and I think it's just the nature of it.
That gives rise to a question. Is a lot of stuff like that, you said just being out and about because it's warm. Is it, I don't know, Rob, a lot of those things, are they just crimes of opportunity? You happen to be at this place and or is there much planning that goes into that?
It depends. Some of them, we haven't had, the ones that we have the one person in, there's also multiple co-defendants. That was actually more personal between particular groups of people. But sometimes, yeah, it's just somebody needs money and for whatever reason they think that's the way to go get it. So it just varies.
Anytime you have gatherings, any of those situations, you have more opportunity for that. And then a side note to that is the other things, the public intox, the OWIs, the things that can just keep people busy. But important to note is Des Moines County, countywide, including all the incorporated cities, 22 to 23, we had an 18% reduction in overall crime, counting all reportable crime. and then an 8% reduction from 23 to 24. It's proactive work of those officers that are out on the street, being busy, being visible, making all that happen. The things that they're doing that are reducing the overall crime. And you hear from us about jail populations and trials and those kinds of things, but really they are making that difference, and we are seeing that difference. Even in challenging times of recruitment, retention, those kinds of things, they are making it happen on a day-to-day. So we're seeing progress and seeing the efforts really come about, and I think those numbers are going to continue to carry forward. But we still deal with things. I mean, we still have those issues that we have to deal with crime-wise, but we are seeing a positive movement in what we want to see.
Thank you guys for that, and Lisa and Chad, thanks for the police force for that too.
Thank you. Team effort.
Okay, moving on, Jared or?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Scissors,
Been fairly busy. I got a couple subdivisions, one major, one standard subdivision. We got a planning and zoning commission meeting for next Tuesday to go over those. So those will be coming your way probably in a few weeks here. And just a couple other minor subdivisions that are out there, and just a bunch of kind of other random things. We got a couple. There's a floodplain permit. We've had an inquiry about airport approach permit, potentially, maybe not. So just a couple other things out there that are just keeping us busy. And then we've got some violation things that we're still just kind of following up on. So, unless you got anything else to add. No, it's the work session after the meeting. I won't be here, Jared will be here. And then we got a non-land use agenda item to get to.
Okay, thank you. Chris Lee.
Good morning.
Great.
Field trips are starting at Starscape Nature Center for the fall school season. So all that quiet time that I used to have in my office is now going bye-bye. So that's cool. So the fall field trip schedule is filling up. And then camping season's kind of winding down, but the season's been pretty nice. So who knows how long we go. We're still seeing some decent numbers in the campgrounds. We have our big Halloween event coming up on the 11th, that is Saturday after next. And so that'll be a big event up there, big Halloween trick-or-treating on the campers up there. We're not doing the haunted forest or anything like that. It's just a trick-or-treat event. We're kind of co-opting with 34 Raceway, so they have their tractor treat. I think it starts at 2, it goes 2 to 4, and then our event is 4:30 to 7. So you can go from the track right on to Big Hollow and really load those kids up with candy for the early season. And then just kind of a sad thing, 17-year-old from Washington was killed in a hunting accident this weekend, and I want to send my condolences to the family and that community out there. That's a terrible, tragic thing, and we extend our hearts out to them. The hunting community is a very tight-knit community, and anytime something like that happens, it rips our hearts out. So hate to see that happen. My kids go to Danville School. I gotta give Danville School credit. As soon as word came out that happened, they sent an email out asking all the students to wear orange and black in solidarity with the Washington school colors. I just think that's a really cool thing. So
Waffle did the same thing.
yeah. So
Several schools around.
we can be fierce competitors on the ball fields,
Yeah.
but we're all community members together. So just hate to hear that, and send our condolences out to all them.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Janelle, how's the treasurer's office? Motor vehicle too.
We're busy. Last reminder that first half property taxes are due by 4:30 p.m. in the office today, or the Dropbox. It must be in the Dropbox by 4:30, or 11:59 this evening on the iowatreasures.org website, or make sure that you get a postmark on it today for September 30th. So, yeah, it's busy enough that please excuse me. I'll probably dart out of the meeting early. There's just a lot of walk-ins, phone calls, and I have to say kudos to the treasurer staff because they get them in and out very diligently. So, and I do have an agenda item.
Thank you. I don't think I missed anybody. So we shall move
Brian
on.
Carter? Did we already hear from him? I mean, if we did, thank God, I missed it.
You don't have to.
Thank you.
I wasn't gonna let him take 15 minutes of our
I
time.
won't take 15 minutes.
Mr. Carter.
First of all, echo, I'd like to see it cool down too, so if that helps with crime, I'm pretty sure my crews would like to see it cool down. I'm tired of the 80s. I know Lisa wants hot weather. I don't know what to say about that. I see her shaking her head.
Perfect.
So that'd be all right. And I'll give props too. I think when Kevin talks about the work that all the law enforcement community is doing, speaking from the Mediapolis side, since Danville's been brought up, the school resource officers, I think, are a really good connection to the next generation. And I've been at a few events lately and saw a video of a dance routine. And let me tell you, the deputy in Mediapolis has made connections with kids when you can get reactions. I was sitting eating supper with them actually up there at a football game, and younger kids came over and talked to them. I mean, I think that says a lot as far as the future generation and that connectivity with law enforcement. So I'm impressed with it. I think it's a great thing. So credit to him for putting that effort in. He's not the first. There's been others, but he does a really nice job.
He's a great, just a great personality.
Yep, he does. He does a really good job with it. He's got quite the dance moves also. I encourage you, if Kevin got a video of that, for you guys to watch that. So
I do have a video.
it should be shown far and wide. But anyway, other than that, I think I can echo everybody. I don't know if busy is the right word for it, but it's not slowing down. We got plenty to do and plenty that we won't ever get to. Yeah. We'll keep on moving, and we are in the process of interviewing as we speak for a motivator position, so that's going on. Hopefully I'll have personnel action at some point in the near future on that front, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, now moving on. We have payroll reimbursement claim for $466.38, non-cash for $0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah Doty.
Shane McCampbell,
Aye.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Now we have resolution 2025-050, supporting matching funds for the Great River Housing Trust Fund for fiscal year 2027 grant application.
Motion to approve, it's already in the budget.
Yep.
Second.
Sarah Doty.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Just a real quick, first off, thank you for doing that. There's a little presentation that's in there. I don't know if you got a chance to look at that, but outlines just some of the things about the program, what the money goes towards, what the grant is for this year. So just appreciate the support over, I think this might be 14 or 15 years now.
3 or 5 year program. When we sign up for it.
What's that?
When we sign up for that, is that a 3 year or 5 year program when you come and we start budgeting for that?
Yeah, allocated every year.
We allocate it every year, but don't you approach and say,
The grant will cover for a couple of years typically.
something like that?
Yep, but it helps low to moderate income homeowners. It does down payment assistance, so it helps people buy a home. We get individuals that apply to rehab their homes for necessary improvements, roof siding, windows, mechanical. We work with some developers for upper story housing. So there's a project right now, the old Painters building in I think it's the 700 block, maybe it's the 600 block. It's again 14 units in it, but 4 of those are for LMI purpose that we help support, and then we do some other financing too, where there's some larger developments. So as an example, the Apollo School that's getting rehabbed, we give them a loan as well for that, and that helps with them and some of their tax credits. So been a really great program, support low to moderate income housing in the region. So appreciate you guys' support. Get a lot of things done for housing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Zach. Okay, now we have a resolution 2025-051, it's approving the memorandum of understanding between the city of Burlington and the Des Moines County for the temporary use of county-owned recycling containers. Did you want to address this, Mr. Burke?
I would just point out a few key effects to the memorandum of understanding, and then just take any questions. So it's really pretty basic. I was here about a month ago at the end of August to discuss this matter with you. My understanding is the county owns the recycling containers, and so the request is for permission to use those. In this case, with the memorandum of understanding, it would be on a trial or a pilot 6-month period, just to kind of see how it works. Under the terms of the MOU, the county will retain ownership and just coordinate if needed with area recyclers. But the city will assume responsibility for liability, insurance, maintenance, transport, moving them in and out, taking care of the stock that might be deposited in them. If appropriate, I'll provide monthly updates as to how it's being used, what volumes we're seeing, and that type of thing. And then I would expect to come back at the end of the 6-month period and reassess and see where we are.
Sounds great.
Right now, we don't have the final location identified, but we have 2 in the downtown area. So some of that will work with downtown partners, Main Street, and some of the larger apartment units to figure out where the best location is.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds like it's a great deal.
Yeah, I think it'll be good for the community.
No, I think you answered my questions last time you were here, so,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Motion
you.
to approve, motion to approve the resolution.
I'll second that.
Sarah Doty?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McGamble,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
No.
Okay, moving on, we set dates for the county rural residence fall cleanup. The Des Moines County Board of Supervisors is sponsoring a countywide rural cleanup beginning Monday, October 6th through Saturday, December 13th, 2025, or until the county credits are depleted. You must furnish proof of residency. The Des Moines County Landfill Recycling Center will accept at no charge rural Des Moines County residents, and that's rural residents, not cities or anything, the following items, and then they will be listed on the website. No tires of any size, no electronic items, computer monitors, and televisions, for example, will be accepted during this cleanup.
Motion to approve.
Second. Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, it's a blessing really to have this. Some communities don't allow this.
I just take my stuff, throw it in the ditch.
You quit mine.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
So we got this to keep people from throwing stuff in the ditch, so this is a good thing. That's good that we still have that in our community.
Okay, we have some personnel actions here. We have 2 of them for conservation. We'll do these together. The first one is Brandon Rowland. He's a conservation tech. It's an anniversary. A 30-month step increase from $48,652.53 to $49,900.03. And the second one is for Jacqueline Goodman. It's anniversary, it's an 18-month anniversary increase. She's a part-time conservation tech. Previous rate was $21.81 an hour. The new rate is $22.40 an hour.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Aye.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. And we have one for the correctional center. It's, Jack Davis, Sergeant.
Jackie.
Jack.
Jackie.
Jackie. That's not the way I spell it. Resignation, last day worked October the 8th, 2025. Last day paid will be October the 8th, 2025. Resignation. What's your wishes, gentlemen?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Jackie was a correctional officer with us and then a sergeant, and she had nearly 20 years with us, and she just got to the point in her life where she was ready to move on, but we certainly appreciate her devotion and her leadership. that she
Make sure you
provided.
tell her we appreciate, all the years of service.
Yeah, absolutely, we will miss her.
Okay, the next one is Gage Johnson, resignation, effective date October the 3rd, 2025, lead maintenance.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
I would like to thank Gage for his years of service as well. He's been a great teammate to our maintenance department. We're gonna miss him, but wish him well in his next step.
Give him a thumbs up.
Yep. Okay, now we have one for the treasurer's office, for Atlanta Cap. She's the clerk 2, motor vehicle department. It's, unpaid time, 9/25, 2025, 2.42 hours, and 9/6/25, 7.5 hours.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Aye.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. We have one for, 2 of them for the local health. We'll do these together. We have Ronald Lee, the second, title RN. Oh, here it is, resignation effective 10/10/25. Right under the name, I didn't see that. And then we have Julie
Belcher.
Vector, okay, Secretary of Local Health, retiring on 1/9/26.
I'd like to thank Julia Ronaldville, who's been with us quite some time and was really all the best in her retirement.
Make sure you say the same, reiterate that from us, and, motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Sarah Doty.
Shane McCampbell,
Aye.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Okay, we have reports now. These will be on file in the auditor's office for reviewing and showing discretion. For the Veterans Affairs report for September 2025. We have the minutes for the regular meeting. September 23rd, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Darren?
Tom Brooker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Is there any other business?
I'm not sure what the other business or committee reports, but as you gentlemen are aware, the IT director resigned effective last Friday. So the auditor, Sarah Doty, the auditor, organized an interview committee and invited all the departments. And there were 10 or a dozen people there. I think we had representatives from almost all the departments and 5 excellent candidates. And at the end of the process, we had a unanimous choice. Mr. Brandon Memmer, the current assistant IT director, and Mr. Memmer graciously accepted the offer, and we will have contract and personnel action ready for the board approval next week. So, but we were excited. We had some really good candidates, and Brandon did a great job with the interview. So, thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, too.
Appreciate the committee and the department heads that took the time to come down and do the interview.
You sound so excited. It's like, what did I get myself into?
Okay, future agenda items. I have none.
I have none.
Work stations.
We'll have wind next week.
What's that?
We'll have wind next week again.
Okay, when next week, yeah, okay. That will be posted on our agenda. Committee reports.
I had Mississippi Valley Workforce Development Board meeting, CEO board meeting. And it was just basically, we talked about CEO attendance on that list. So, and also, we're changing up how we divide up the money. At one point in time, we get a bulk of money, and everybody got the same amount. We would just split up. There's 20 counties. We would just divide it by 20, and everybody would get it. But it wasn't quite fair. So we've broke it down now to where it comes down to how many people you have in your county. Our share is 6.3%. So I voted yes on that. That was one of the changes. We'll be coming forward with some paperwork on that, gentlemen. But I feel like it works good for us, and I feel like it's more fair for all the counties. That's all I have.
I had a regional planning meeting, just basic stuff. You got anything to add to that meeting?
I don't think so.
Thank you.
I was interviewed.
That's what I'm saying.
I had one committee meeting scheduled, but I couldn't make it. Prioritize the interview.
Good thing. We need to make that a good deal.
Okay. Time for public input. Anybody from the public? We'll give you 2 minutes to call in. 319-753-8203 extension 4 or email board@dmcounty.com. Meanwhile, anybody in here during these 2 minutes have anything to say?
Sorry, Allison Moore, Yarmouth area. I had a question for Chris. We were at Big Hollow on Sunday. I saw that sign with the QR code about that algae. What is that, like a grant opportunity, or what's the purpose of wanting people to take that survey?
We get a whole bunch of people saying we don't want this algae in the lake. That gives us ongoing public input, which is part of future grant opportunities. We started that when we were first getting the federal grant to hire the watershed coordinator that we have. And we decided we just want to keep it going. And so when that beach area gets pretty green, it's pretty easy for somebody to just snap that and then give us some comments. So it's kind of just a ongoing collection of comments that at some point the grant that we're currently operating on will expire and we'll have to go back and apply again. And so that'll give us some ongoing data of, say, look, here's what the community is telling us, here's what we know. And so it's just a way of keeping that connection going.
Shannon, you?
Chad Bird, City Manager for the City of Burlington. Just by way of update for the sidewalk safety features that we've been talking about for a while, we should start to see some deployment of that structure by the end of next week.
Sweet.
So we'll just stay in touch with Mr. Bleasner on coordinating that. So,
Good. Thank you very much.
thanks for your patience. Yeah.
Okay.
One
Yes.
more thing I forgot, just a quick reminder, tomorrow there is between 11:30 and 1 an open house in the former public health building across the street for those that are interested in purchasing that building. The bid packets are online at the Moines County website, so I forgot to mention that. So just wanted to bring that up.
What time is that again?
11:30 to 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, with an eye, we're out of here.
Right.
Aye. We're gonna have a work session here in about 5 minutes or so. It's gonna be with the, On general provision, definitions for the Met Towers, communications and enforcement.
So those are 4 specific articles in the wind, solar, battery ordinance, specifically article.
You want to tell what page you're on, so.
Oh, yeah, sure, I'm just getting a picture about today's session overall. So it's four articles that have comparatively fewer changes than some of the other ones that we've been discussing lately, but we'll go through and if you have any comments about the specific changes or anything else with that particular chapter at the time. So we're going to start right at the beginning. So the page 1 of the regular ordinance. So after the table of contents, it goes into Article 1, general provisions. So this chapter is basically you find this in any ordinance, just outlining the purpose of why the ordinance exists, what it covers, the jurisdiction of the regulations that it has, how it's enforced, and how it relates to other county ordinance or other ordinances of the county or other state, federal, whatever entities with jurisdiction. So this one has very little changes from what's in the existing ordinance. As was adopted in 2023, which largely, since the purpose is really the same as was already intended. Again, there's a purpose. Starts with a purpose statement. Jurisdiction is applying to unincorporated Des Moines County. There's an administrator appointed by the board to administer and implement the ordinance. No changes in either of those sections. The only change at all in this section is pretty minor, and it's related to the terminology. So for section D, applicability and exemptions, and this relates to the definitions in Article 2, because the definitions specifically define a commercial wind, solar, or battery system versus a personal solar, wind, or battery system. And those are specifically defined in order to ensure that this ordinance applies to the commercial utility scale large facilities and not to any small incidental things like just rooftop solar or a very small wind generation facility on like a factory or whatever. So this basically just adjusts that terminology here because the previous ordinance only considered battery storage in relation to a solar or wind farm that it was installed as part of. And so based on the process we went through in Lee County, there was some discussion of a possible standalone battery facility that would be developed independently of. It would most likely be in the area to utilize the energy from a solar or wind farm, but it would be developed independently. So again, this is just ensuring that this applies to a commercial scale wind, solar, and in this case battery as well, and it would not apply to the personal solar energy, so solar, wind, or battery. And then also there's the standard exemption here for anything that was lawfully existed prior to the adoption of the ordinance. Again, that's not changed. And then and it also says, well, shall apply to any property on which a lease agreement was established with the developer prior to the adoption of the ordinance, but had not yet commenced development. So basically anything where there's an agreement in place for the use of land, but nothing has been proposed yet, this ordinance would apply to an eventual development of that facility once that process begins. And then the rest of that chapter is basically specifying what the relationship is with other ordinances. It references the airport ordinance, the floodplain development, and then anything where if a city had regulations within 2 miles for zoning, if that were to be the case. And then section F, financial risk and responsibility, that was the general statement, just ensuring that encompassing all the components of the development would be the responsibility, the costs associated with that are the responsibility of the developer. from the development all the way through decommissioning. And then there's the enforcement and penalties, section G, just to be consistent with any ordinance where you need to enforce certain provisions over time. If issues come up, if there is determined to be a violation, that basically references chapter 331 of Iowa Code, where it specifies the penalties that are allowed, that a county may impose related to what is determined to be a violation or a county infraction is the term that they use.
So, yeah, and on that one, we've talked about this. You guys had asked us about continued violations. And so for 3, I put it so like a G3 to be added for continued violations. And then I found Polk County had some similar language. 3 more violations of this ordinance or of any of its required agreements within a calendar year, and said permit may be revoked by Des Moines County and trigger decommissioning in accordance with Article 13 of this ordinance. And that would address the habitual violations. And I don't know, I just put 3 in there. I don't know what number of violations you guys want within a year.
Well, was this specific to wind or solar, this Polk County ordinance, or what was this?
I have it on my desk, and
Yeah, if you could send me that language.
I think it talks about renewable energy. I think it's specific.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to see where that's coming from, just to understand the context there, but that's.
Because it's titled renewable energy. I think
Okay, yeah.
So, but that was the model that I used for the language.
Okay, yeah, I'd definitely see that.
Yes, but habitual violators must be dealt with, so.
Right.
Every time you do the same thing 3 times, that's kind of habitual as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So, I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah.
Any other,
I don't know about you guys.
any other questions or comments related specifically to Article 1 before we move on to definitions?
I think, yeah.
Does that mean for the whole project or on each hurdle 3 times?
Well, that would need to be
Did that make
specified.
sense?
Yeah.
That's a good question, and we've worked in the decommissioning, and we've kind of talked about that, is trying to work, we've already started to work into decommissioning a more implement-based enforcement as opposed to the entire permit. And the rationale for that is it makes it more viable for everybody, more viable for an operator, but also more viable for us in enforcement, because I think I've given the analogy before about having a little 8-pound ball and a 500-pound wrecking ball. And ultimately, if it's just one implement that's causing the problem, then it's just that one implement. So I think by the changes in the decommissioning process, and specifically referencing that decommissioning process, we'd be able to decommission one implement if there's one implement causing the problem, as opposed to the entire project.
And we had discussed that previously, because that, if we're talking about a wind farm with 30 turbines, or a solar farm with a couple dozen solar arrays, if it's only one particular area that's having a problem for whatever reason, then.
I have a question about this penalty. For, $750 for the first offense and $1,000 for repeated offenses. It's my understanding that day 1 is the first offense, day 2 is the second offense, day 3 is the third offense. As it's been explained to me, and whether that has to be addressed in this code or whatever, but that's how those offenses, it isn't one offense, that lasts for a month. It's each subsequent day is a new offense, or an additional, or a repeat offense, I guess.
For 331, that's how it's written, and you're right, if you wanna have a definition of habitual offense, we could probably put that in definition, so if you're saying like,
I don't
offense
have it with
A,
me.
even if it takes a month to fix it, is offense A, and then you're trying to get to offense B.
I attended a webinar anyway, and I wrote it down, and naturally I can't find it right now. But it listed the code, but anyway, so it wouldn't, the first day is, anyway, but each subsequent day is a repeat offense. Whether it has to be addressed in this, or whether the code just addresses that. If it needs to be addressed in this, I can find that. Probably as soon as I get home, it'll be on top of whatever I'm looking at. But I'd be happy to send both of you that information on that particular code.
I'm generally familiar with that, because I mean, with zoning and other land use ordinances, that's a typical thing. If it's not accounted for right away, I'm familiar with that language being in there. But that is something we want to be careful for. If we're counting each violation as each day that something is not addressed, that could get you to 3 pretty quickly. So
that's my understanding, and they, like I said in the webinar, they said, you can do this, or that's included, or whatever it is. I wanted whatever we have to have in here to have that, and I will get you that information that I have.
Okay.
And I apologize if I can't find it right now.
Yeah, that'll work great, and we could, because you're right, we want to differentiate a violation as far as one that hasn't been fixed yet, that's getting fixed, versus one that's a repeat. So saying it's fixed, and then a week later it starts again, and then, 'cause that's a different thing, and I think that's what you guys are saying, right?
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, we could do that in definition, so.
Anyway, so I will find that and get that to you, but that was my understanding of the explanation. And, I just wanted to make sure that that's what it says.
That's good.
Thank you.
Are we ready to move on to Devin?
Go ahead.
Alright, so definitions, this is basically definitions of terms in the ordinance that are used, that whenever that particular term is used, it's intended to have this particular definition. So there are a number of edits here, some that were, again, some were specifically added for Lee County, and then other ones have been based on more recent discussions here in Des Moines County on the existing ordinance. So we're on page 3. The first one is an additional term that was for Lee County. This is agrivoltaic system. So this is simply defining, because this would be an option, the ordinance specifies this is an option for a solar farm that in lieu of having native plantings and keeping the area around it. For that purpose, you could also use agrivoltaics of some kind with regards to agriculture facilities adjacent to the solar panels. So this is just ensuring that there's a clear definition of that here. One new term that applies to, we'll get into this when we talk about the chapter on the wind sighting standards, but we have aircraft detection lighting system. So the board had indicated that was something that the board would be interested in including as a requirement for a wind farm to ensure that you don't have the lights on all night.
I've seen that, so where they would put it in an ordinance, because the FAA has to.
And
has to approve that, so you can't require that. But we're gonna require them to request it, or?
Well, so that's in the wind sighting standards chapter. It does say that it's contingent on FAA approval. So
Okay, this is just a definition.
Yeah, this is just so it's clear what that is. So it's defined as a sensor-based system that monitors the airspace around a wind energy system, allowing for obstruction lights to be activated only when an aircraft is detected nearby. So just so it's clear what that is. The definitions for a battery energy system that was modified now that it's talking about potentially a standalone facility for energy storage. But basically defines what it includes in terms of all associated inverters, transformers, cooling equipment, anything that comprises that system. And then, as with solar and wind farms, there's a distinction between a commercial and a personal facility, where the utility scale is where the stored energy is distributed to the power grid for the public at large, or used by one very large commercial or industrial facility nearby, and then maybe developed concurrent with or independently of a wind or solar farm. And then personal is the majority of the energy is consumed on site or adjoining properties, and primarily used to serve a private residence or a business or ag operation. So that's just ensuring that when we determine that a battery system meets the definition of commercial and therefore falls under the jurisdiction of the ordinance. And then cemetery is defined here. This was one where we kind of had we initially had setback requirements pertaining to a cemetery in the original 2023 ordinance. In Lee County, they were a little concerned about how that term could be defined in terms of some of the smaller private burials that may have occurred in the more rural areas. We're talking going back to the 1800s. So in terms of what actually constitutes a cemetery, does it have to be like an Aspen Grove or Memorial Park, or could it be a smaller pioneer cemetery? So this just ensures that when that term is used in the setbacks, that it's to refer to any burial site recognized by the county assessor as tax exempt land, separate from taxable private land that it adjoins.
So and we've talked about this one too. I think we have to put in addition to that, in any cemetery approved by the Pioneer Cemetery Board, as identified after public notice in the permitting process. And I think the rationale is just exactly what Jared said. We don't know what cemeteries are out there. You may have somebody that has a family cemetery that they're maintaining on their own and have for years and years. And this gives them an opportunity to let somebody know, the Pioneer Cemetery Board, they know what a cemetery is. We all intrinsically know what a cemetery is, but they have a more concrete way they define them and go through that. So I think that gives us a chance to let them do their thing, but at the same time let people come forward, because it's very possible that there's cemeteries that aren't on the tax rolls.
You might want to ask them if they're willing to do that.
Yeah, we can.
Well, I'm just saying.
That's a good point.
If they're gonna say this is that, there's nothing wrong with, there's a lot of people would rather say, I don't want to be in that position.
The whole point is we want to make sure that once a permit application is filed, that we're not getting surprises later down the line, that we know where the occupied dwellings are, we know where the cemeteries are.
And I understand that, I'm just saying, but they already recognize X number of pioneer cemeteries.
Yeah.
They might not want to be put in the position, or it might not be fair to put them in the position to say, well, people are gonna come and wanna get this or that certified as a pioneer cemetery for a setback. I'm just saying you might be putting some pressure on a volunteer organization that we depend heavily on.
Well, and that may be, I don't know. So, but that's true. That's a good point.
We can put a reference to what there's lists that are out there.
They have lists now. They have, and there are pioneer cemeteries, and they collect money from the county to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They get $20,000 or $30,000 a year, I don't know what it is, to care for those pioneer cemeteries. I would be comfortable with the list they have now. I would not want to put them in a position where they are sort of a regulatory board and approving this or that. That's it's hard enough to find volunteers for that board anyway.
Not what they wanna do?
And there's
But
not,
that's not what they want to do.
not too many young people on that board.
Nobody wants to, so I'm not really comfortable with putting that responsibility on them. If we've got a list of approved pioneer cemeteries, and they've gone through there and they've approved, you know, and some they have and some they haven't, but I would go with what they've got at the time of
That makes
permitting.
sense.
At the time of permitting,
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
I know we got one down there at St. Barnes in the Dewey.
Yeah.
And then there is on 406 between the truck stop and the college, there's a grave site right out there on the west side of that road.
And there are,
Yeah,
There's
and
a-
there's a lot of them around that we really don't know about.
yeah, or just small family cemeteries where a couple of people are buried that you I would rather not throw that on them.
So, moving on to page 4, the next term that's added here was ice throw. This was discussed in the emergency response about how to address this issue if it comes up. So if this is going to be referenced in the regulation at all, we need to define what that is. So we have it listed here as the shedding of ice from a wind turbine blade while the turbine is in operation, with the motion of the blade propelling ice over a greater distance than in a stationary position.
So, yeah, when we get into ice throw, I think, and when we talked about this, I think we need to take off that over a greater distance than if it were in a stationary position. And the reason being is, but for that structure, that ice wouldn't be there. And also, depending on how high something is, if something's, 200 feet up in the air and the wind's blowing 30 miles an hour.
You're just defining it, and it's pretty much well defined that the blade throws it while it's moving.
Right.
The rest of that is regulatory, this is
Yeah, that's,
definition.
I'm fine with this. Okay.
The problem is, at least from my perspective, if I have to go in front of a judge and talk about ice throw, and if we're saying it has to be over a greater distance than if it were to be in a stationary, if we just say it's ice throw from a structure, that we can show, because if there's ice throw from a structure, it's from a structure. If I have to show to a court that it's from a greater distance than it would have been if it wasn't moving, then we have to hire an expert every time we have an ice throw event to come in and testify and do the math problem and say, this is how far it would have gone but for the movement. And so that, just litigation cost of that alone.
I think it would be fine if we took off that later part. I think as long as it's clear that it's
Rose,
being.
you got something to put to that?
Well, I think we've come around to it. If the blade's not moving, it's not going to throw.
Exactly.
Well, it depends on if there's wind, I assume, is what Trent's talking about.
Right, where does it drop? I mean, if it drops straight down.
Pretty much straight down.
Yeah, and,
Little wind maybe.
right.
Yeah, it's only gonna matter if it's thrown a significant distance rather than just drop. So I guess ultimately that distinction doesn't really matter as long as it's clear that it's being projected off.
Could there be something added in there like if they got a freezing rain or something like that, that they would have to be shut down to avoid ice throw? Legally.
I mean, we could say that if the temperature at height is freezing, legally we could do that it wouldn't operate. That's something we could do.
Gonna have a really hard time enforcing that when we start talking about temperatures and freezing rain. We struggle. We watch weather constantly. We struggle to know when it's gonna be freezing rain and when it's not. And the blade's gonna be a different temperature. And I'd stay away from Personally, I'd stay away from that. I don't know if you can define that or defend that well enough.
I don't know that it needs definition.
Yeah.
If it comes off that blade, then the developer's responsible for it.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what.
And so it doesn't matter if it drops or if it falls.
Yeah, so yeah, that, just the first part of that sentence should be fine.
Road,
Rose Fisher, I do believe they make sensors that can be put on the blades that will track the amount of ice that has built up.
That's,
Well, I think you're right. I believe I've read that or heard that. That would be something in the, I suppose, in a siting permit.
right, yeah.
Because I've read that you can paint the blade black.
Yeah.
And some of those to avoid ice throw, so that black it attracts heat, sunlight, so apparently it doesn't collect as much ice. So yeah, if you wanted to put something like that in the siting permits that have a sensor or whatever you would call that, that sounds like a reasonable request. But I don't think that, but I don't know that you need much more than that first clause, you know,
Yeah.
with the, while the turbine is in operation, that's ice throw, but if it comes off those blades, it's ice throw.
Yep.
Even if it falls straight down, the turbine isn't moving.
Charlie. Yeah,
Yeah, ice, if you're standing underneath of it and it warms up and a chunk hits you on the head and the blades are stationary, so that's not gonna be ice throw, so I'm just gonna be, too bad.
If I stand out
It's
underneath
still
my
gonna
heat,
come underneath
when the
there.
hot's all
I've
iced up
farmed
and
out
it's
there.
warming up and it's starting to drip, that's up. You can say anything can happen. I can't imagine anybody standing underneath one of those things as it's starting to warm up and there's ice on the blades.
So
You might as well go kill me, God.
and it would be the landowner be the only person standing there, otherwise they get your trespassing for getting hit on the head of ice.
You can say ice throw if you want it there, but anything, if it comes off that blade, that's ice throw. That's, the developer is responsible for whatever falls off that
There's gonna be
blade.
an ice drop and then we're gonna have an ice throw.
Well,
He's saying that it is ice.
I think we're wasting time on.
I'm fine with taking out that last part.
Yeah, that's fine, let's take it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you just saying the shedding of ice from a wind turbine blade, period?
Propelling ice, yeah. So the shedding of ice from a wind turbine blade, yeah, that gets.
Yeah, perfect, that says it all.
Perfect, you got it.
Says it all.
Good.
Saves you a little bit of ink.
Yeah, it does.
Thanks, Rose.
So, and you got a smidge ahead of me, on decommissioning,
Oh, we didn't have a change on that, but we got
do you have language for that?
Yeah, that's, we discussed this, so that one thing I noticed there now, that we've had a number of discussions about, was specifically with emergency response and if a particular portion of a wind or solar farm would have to be decommissioned, but not the entire thing. Just in hindsight now, this particular definition as currently listed is geared specifically to the end of life planned decommissioning of a wind or solar farm. So this would need to be amended slightly to ensure that it refers to either the entirety of or a portion of, but the key thing is that that particular portion or entire facility is being removed. So that one will just need to be adjusted slightly to make sure we're consistent with decommissioning for the whole thing, decommissioning for a portion if it's damaged, or even just,
The decommissioning, we talked about before, the decommissioning, everything comes out.
Yeah.
All the concrete, all the conduit, everything.
Yes.
And it's returned to pre-installation condition.
Yeah, we're still doing that. I think we're just saying that because in decommissioning, we added the option of a partial decommissioning. So say if one implement needs to be decommissioned, but not the entire project. So, we just, the definition as it is, just is for like the entire project. So just taking out that all to match what we did on decommissioning.
Yeah, it's just permanent season.
Okay, move on.
Okay, so, the next slight change here under occupied dwelling, this is referencing this for the purposes of regulating setbacks. Initially, that term was defined to include only, units that are occupied at the time, the facility, wind or solar facility is being proposed. There were some concerns voiced in Lee County specifically about if someone is planning to build a new home at the time, but nothing has been completed and the developer is not aware of this. So this has been expanded in the yellow section here. So this can include any such dwelling under construction and not yet occupied at the time the system is proposed. So it's more the purpose and intent as opposed to if someone is there right now. And then operational lifespan here at the end of page 4. So this was just included so it's clear what this is referring to, because again over time we've had more discussion about stuff that happens during the lifespan, whether it be a damaging event or possibly planned repowering, and also enforcement if there are issues that come up while it's in operation. So this basically refers to the period in which the facility or any portion of is functionally operating as designed to produce, transmit, or store energy in the case of a battery system. And this extends from the completion of initial construction to the eventual decommissioning.
I'd like to get rid of and or abandonment.
Okay, yeah.
Just say will right there, just cross out those last 3 words.
Makes sense.
Which eventually.
Rose Fisher, back on the occupied dwelling, how do you define under construction? Is that a contract with your contractor? Is that a septic tank permit? Is that concrete being poured?
I think it is. I don't know.
It's
I
not
think that's
defined. And we don't require permitting, so we won't necessarily have a permit.
Sure,
applied
hard,
for.
yeah. Unless it's in the 2 mile around Burlington. So.
I'm not sure I like that because if you go to Mexico and you're driving through a town or something like that, you'll see all sorts of concrete walls that are unfinished. You might have noticed that. Anyway, and they'll have something that's been under construction for years, but there's some sort of tax advantage to having a building under construction. So they throw up a couple walls and a couple pieces of scaffold and with rebar sticking out of it, and it'll be there for a long time.
I always thought they started the project and forgot to pay the cartel.
There's any number of reasons why that would happen, but at one time it was explained to me that there was, in some jurisdictions, there's some sort of tax advantage or whatever. You don't get taxed for the finished building as long as it's under construction or if it's still under. So that's a subjective enough term, under construction. You know, have you have a set of plans drawn up? Have you poured concrete? Have you put up a frame? That's or if you just dug a hole in the ground and said that's my future home. It's small hole.
Do you have a definition, Brian?
Well, like I said, there's no permits. I mean, the only permit you could possibly lean on is the septic permit. That's the only permit I'm aware of, for the county. So, it's, there is not a good one. No, there's
no. It's too subjective for me.
Yeah.
Allison Moore. This is a perfect example of where property lines come in rather than occupied dwellings.
We'll get down to that here shortly.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm gonna get rid of that.
Well, I mean, the only thing I would think of is that there was a way to they shall demonstrate with evidence, I don't know, that's the problem about having a permanent structure in place, but.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
One one.
so on the top of page 5, the term operations, again, this is similar to operational lifespan, just because this term gets used a lot. It seems like there should be a clear definition of that, so it's basically the day-to-day functions of a wind, solar, or battery system as it works to produce, transmit, or store energy. So similar to operational lifespan, but just focusing on day-to-day as opposed to the full lifespan. And then participating property, this is one that was modified. I think this really helps now. So the initial definition of the 2023 ordinance was more focused on the presence of a wind or solar facility on a particular parcel of land. So in order to make this more clear, that what this refers to, it's now framed in terms of the presence of a voluntary lease, easement, or contract with the owner or operator of the facility. And so it refers to the entirety of that property in which that agreement has been put in place for its operations. And then to make things even simpler for the non-participating, it basically means any parcel of land other than a participating property as herein defined. So this simplified the definition and really bases it off of the presence of those existing agreements with the developer and operator.
I don't know if it's that simple, and because, and if you remember early on, we had talks about agreements that aren't necessarily full participation agreements, but partial. I don't know, the whole participating property is just tough. I don't know how to define it, but in the old way we had it was clear, because somebody could have a use agreement that allows them to run power lines over their property, but not be one that allows for implements. So
That would be a contract with the property owner.
and it's just tough how to I mean, this is, I think it'll work, that's fine. I didn't initially flag it, but that's what the concern is. You know.
Okay, so moving on to public conservation area. This is specifically for instances where this is used as the setbacks. So this is any area of land directly owned or managed by Des Moines County Conservation, Iowa DNR, or U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for purpose of wildlife conservation. So this does not include any privately owned land subject to temporary easements or contractual regulatory authority by any of those agencies. So it actually has to be a operational recognized facility by either of those conservation entities. So there may be, based on how we've structured the wildlife monitoring and mitigation section, there may be special habitat areas on land that's privately owned that is accommodated into that plan, but in this case, when we're talking about just base setbacks, it's clear that we're only referring to those actual recognized conservation areas.
In this definition, when you read the cases on where they're trying to enforce the restricted animals and things like that, it's almost verbatim what the courts use. So
Brad, do you have something?
Yeah, Brad Coates, just real quick, and because prior to all this stuff started, we have been discussing with our property, doing a wildlife easement for the property, but so the word temporary kind of just makes me ask a question. I mean, if it wasn't a temporary, I mean, if I don't know what a temporary easement is. It was 99 years of temporary easement. I mean, if we do a permanent easement on 1,000 acres, is that an easement that isn't temporary? You know what I mean? If the 99-year easement or whatever they are, I don't know, but some of those things are. On some of the wetland reserve, I mean, Chris, you can speak to that better than I can. On this wetland reserve program, these types of things, I mean, we've looked at a lot of that stuff, and we've had Fish and Wildlife out, and had all these people looking at this, discussing how could we do that. Again, this was a year and a half ago, when none of this was even a thought, you know?
I think if we take out that entire exclusionary,
Or it doesn't have to say temporary either. It could
I mean,
be-
that's my question. I mean, if somebody has an easement, if, you know, put it in place, and really those aren't, I mean, wetland reserve stuff and things like that really aren't, you know, I'll take it out 2 years later. That's not really how they work.
Right, yeah, I see what you mean, that makes sense.
You probably just scratch the whole lesson.
yeah, just scratch it with close.
Is the Mississippi River a conservation area?
Yes and no.
Not by this definition.
Not by this definition.
That's
Because
why I
this
just
wouldn't be
didn't know
managed by
that.
Moines County Conservation, DNR, or
Yeah,
Fish, Wildlife
that's why,
Service.
that's my point, it's not owned by any of those three.
Although you could make the claim that Pool 18 is managed by the DNR because you can't put a duck line up there without a permit from the DNR.
Well, they manage the hunting, the Corps manages the river.
Right. So then I guess if someone were to take it to court, Trent.
I don't know, I'm just asking
Just
a question, I don't wanna create a whole nother conversation.
Right.
You know,
That's a valid question.
It's a border. So,
no, I mean, we could, because when you look at these cases, the DNR is very much so, and really surprisingly so to me, that private conservation just flat does not count in their eyes. And so that's, I mean, it's just clear that that's the case.
Well,
So-
and I think that comes back to the lack of permanency on that, on
Well,
private.
Well, then we
Yeah,
need
it
to
could-
strike the
could
last,
be.
that last sentence.
And strike the last sentence,
Yeah.
and maybe if we add in then, indirectly owned, managed, or if we just add the Corps of Engineers to that list of entities, that would then cover Mississippi.
I don't know that you wanted added, the question wasn't plus or minus, it was just the question, literally just, is that the conservation area? It is, Mississippi River is something that I don't think you have to add the Corps. If you want the Mississippi to be considered, I think you can label, you can write in Mississippi River. I don't think it needs to be, do you add the Corps or not, I just didn't know.
It says for the purpose of wildlife conservation too, so the Corps is more concerned with river navigation, so.
Oh, there's plenty of rules about emotional stuff.
Yeah, well, it's-
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, it's just, maybe it's something to think on, I just
Ostensibly.
just wanted to mention it.
Okay. Alright, well, so the next term right below that, repowering, this came up in recent work sessions about, what happens if the operator were to want to upgrade the equipment of an existing wind or solar farm. And so if we are gonna be referencing that,
Can we skip ahead?
it's right after public conservation areas.
Right there.
Burn, page 5.
Underneath conservation.
Okay,
It's in.
well, it's highlighted, so then I'm like,
Yeah.
alright.
So this is basically,
Search for color, it's easier to follow.
basically to ensure that that term is defined, since we are now using it for regulatory purposes. So this is defined as the process of upgrading or replacing any of the existing components of a wind or solar or battery system at any point during its operational lifespan. And then such activities may be undertaken to increase energy efficiency or output, or replace previously damaged malfunctioning components, because it's mentioned specifically in the context of emergency response and damage as well, if they opt to repair it rather than just having it taken out completely. And then one other new term right below that, this again with the board was interested in addressing this, the topic of shut-off flicker, and that is now referenced in the siting standards for a wind farm, but in this case we need to have a definition to make it clear what that's referring to. So it's listed here as the phenomenon in which the sun shines through the rotating blades of a wind turbine, casting a moving shadow that projects onto buildings, objects, or surfaces.
So
people.
So in this one, I want to have change. I went through several ordinances. One, it's just hard, there's just so many literally moving parts, talks about moving. It's just hard to defend again in court. The one that I like is the changing of light instantly caused by sunlight through moving blades of a WECS. I mean, it's just simple, it's easy to test, it's easy to prove, we don't need an expert. I like that definition, the changing of light instantly caused by sunlight through the moving of blades of a WECS.
That's harder for me to understand than the one that's there.
Yeah.
The instant changing of light instantly. I don't know, I don't have to defend in court, but this, what's written here seems to be an excellent definition of shadow flicker. It's the sun shining through the rotating blades and casting a moving shadow. I don't know, I'm yield to the other members of the board or any.
I was cool with what they had. I didn't see anything to change, but again, I'm not a lawyer though.
Read yours one more time.
The changing of light instantly caused by sunlight through moving blades of a WECS.
It says the same thing as what this does, but only I like this better up here.
It's
Says the same thing.
If you're in court defending shadow flicker or over shadow flicker or something like that, I don't think the difference in those two definitions is gonna be.
So
I believe it's the same.
it's a question of speed and being able to measure. So yeah, if somebody's waving, you can see the shadow of a slow wave, but if somebody's going like this, then it's more like a strobe light that's just. So it's that changing of light, and we're not having to measure the movement or identify that there's movement.
It's just that the light is
It
just
says
changing.
right here in this, though, it's through the rotating blades. So it says they're moving, it's not.
Yeah.
Casting a moving shadow.
So,
Yeah, I think either one could work, but yeah, I'm good with what we've got for the shadow flicker.
Alright.
I feel like I'm okay with that.
that'll give you something to argue about in court.
Well,
Alright, so moving on, we're at the bottom of page 5 and it continues on to page 6. So the definition of a solar energy system, again, this was another edit as we were going through the process in Lee County. Initially it referred only to the system of infrastructure used for conversion of solar energy from the sun into electricity, and then references a series of panels designed to collect the energy. And so it was expanded to ensure that this includes any supporting electrical equipment and transmission lines necessary for the operation, as well as any battery system that's to be built as part of that. So let's just make sure that full system is addressed there, and not just the panels themselves.
Good. Jared, let me ask you this. Is this a place where we talked about with the battery system, that there's a storage where we put panels around it?
Well, sorry. Well, it's basically that a battery system could be considered part of a solar system, or it could be independent, but it may.
Where, I know the battery's part of the solar system, but we're talking about, I don't know how to say this, but the storage, it's going to the storage battery. Is this where we can put, where we want a buffer for the noise level?
I think he's asking if this applies to, we're just defining it to be part of the solar system, or is this separate than the standalone energy storage system?
Yeah, so it's any instance where a battery system would be part of the solar energy system as designed. So the ordinance still regulates the standalone.
So, and siting permits, I think we've already been through the siting permits for the battery energy system.
Mm-hmm.
So, do the siting permits for the battery standalone, are they the same?
Well, I believe it specifies that the standards for battery system setbacks, et cetera, would apply regardless of whether it's standalone or part of a wind or solar facility.
Okay, then that would apply to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that was, okay.
I probably stepped on my toe there.
No,
I get it. There's always situations, there's different situations where these come up where sometimes initially we were viewing it solely through the lens of this energy system would be part of wind or solar, but then there was some discussion about a possible independent facility when we were working on the project in Lee County, and so that's why we want to make sure that it addresses it clearly wherever it happens.
This is how my children analyze everything I've said from the time they were born till they left the house. Did you mean?
And then, okay, so the next page, we actually have the sections on solar and wind, and these have been modified several times. The issue is how exactly do we draw the line between a commercial or a personal when it comes to solar and wind, and so there's different factors that go into that in terms of how physically large the facility is, how much energy output is generated, who is using the energy, does it go to the power grid or primarily to private landowners? So that's why this has gone back and forth, because it can be tricky to find a definitive cutoff point for what does, because basically we're using this to determine what requires a permit and does not in terms of this ordinance. And I think the key thing we're looking for is something that's a commercial utility scale that involves multiple wind turbines or large area, just a large acreage of solar arrays. And so I think there could be discussion back and forth on this regarding how we want to define it, but I think the way we have it now includes a combination of those factors. So for a solar facility, it's a commercial. It's either just the energy is either distributed to the power grid, work for the public at large, or used by a large commercial industrial operation, and then it's designed to produce at least 25 megawatts of energy, and that's specifically referring to what the Iowa Utilities Board defines as where their jurisdiction starts in terms of whether it has to go through their permitting process. And then personal, in contrast, would be designed to have less than 25 megawatts, and then also the majority of the energy is consumed on site or adjoining properties. There is a statement that they could sell excess energy to the power grid, but as designed, it's primarily intended for the properties in question. And then for wind, it's a similar thing here. We did, again, similar to solar, we haven't included any supporting electrical equipment and transmission lines and any associated battery systems that are designed as part of that overall wind energy system, same as with solar. And then the distinction here, a little bit different for wind. Again, this is a lot based on the discussion in Lee County. I think wanted to make sure that any wind turbine of size that is typically encountered in a commercial wind facility, a large-scale wind farm, would need to be included. So it's basically all it needs is a 1 megawatt of energy and one or more wind turbines of several hundred feet in height, and then the personal would be less than 1 megawatt of energy total, and it's intended just for energy needs of a private business or residence. So,
or agricultural operation.
Right. So that's all I have for definitions. If anybody has comments about any of the things we've discussed or any other terms that we didn't bring up that you had any thoughts on that.
Charlie.
Yeah, well, I think I'm reading this right. You want 25, Charles Tompkins, South Garland. 25 for the solar megawatts of energy. And then we come down to the commercial for the wind. And I believe this is right, 1 megawatt of energy. Why the difference in the megawatts that they produce? I think they both be 25 megawatts.
Well, I think that largely came about in the Lee County discussion.
1 megawatt is nothing, come on.
Well, because if we put the cutoff at 25, then if somebody puts up 1 or 2 wind turbines that are less than that, then it would not fall under the jurisdiction of the ordinance. So that's why this is important here. So if we're going to address one standalone wind turbine that is 500, 600 feet tall, then if that's generating 1 megawatt of energy, then it wouldn't be included under the ordinance if it's under 25. So I get it. It was based on a discussion we had with Lee County specifically. So if we want to make that consistent, then that's fine. It's just that that's part of the challenges that we're talking about very different types of infrastructure in terms of wind. Even if you just have 1 or 2 wind turbines, it's obviously a strong noticeable impact on the surrounding area, whereas solar, if we're only talking about a couple of acres, it's subjective in a sense, but.
And some of those original wind turbines that they call farms were 20 to 60 megawatt projects. Like you read in the case later, you're talking about 20 megawatt projects, 60 megawatt projects. I mean, that's definitely a thing that they have. They used to have smaller projects, and they were, so.
You want the wind to be 1, so they regulate more stuff. You don't want to be 25 where there'll be stuff slip by that could go in that wouldn't be covered by this policy. That's why it's different. It's actually good that it's different.
How about that? Okay.
Charlie's got it.
Along those lines, saying several hundred feet, isn't that kind of vague? Like, I can't remember, I feel like with my research, like Joni Ernst's county, I think their top max height was like 200 and some feet. So what if you had a bunch of those? I mean, you would still want to have an ordinance covering.
Well, they still have the megawatt limit too, though. But several hundred is a weird.
It's kind of
It is going to be hard to enforce that.
If you've got the 1 megawatt energy, that should cover it without describing it further. All that's gonna do is limit.
We don't even need to reference the height then if it's just specified megawatt.
Not as far as I'm concerned.
Right. I know it's.
Rose, what do you want?
Well, if we're done with this one, I wanted to go back to the shadow flicker conversation.
Let's move on, then we'll go back afterwards.
I thought we were at the end.
I don't think we are we? Sure.
Well, if you have a comment specifically about the definition of shadow flicker,
Yeah. Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, I thought he said he was at the end of it.
Let's go, what do you want to know about it?
Getting close.
Well, okay, so I think the issue that I had is that it starts out with the phenomenon that I can't hardly pronounce, but the
You did a good
definition.
job.
The definition says it's a fact or situation that is observed to exist or happen, especially one whose cause or explanation is in question. There's no question here of what happened. So I'm wondering if we could switch that around and say that it is the casting of a moving shadow that projects onto buildings, objects, and surfaces when the sun shines through the rotating blades. Then you're totally eliminating the
Isn't that what it says?
phenomenon.
Well, so I think it's him.
The phenomenon is just the occurrence. I mean, it isn't.
Didn't say occurrence.
Well,
I think what bothers me is it says it's especially one whose cause or explanation is in question.
Where does it say that?
That's from the dictionary on my phone. I looked up the word. I know what it means.
Phenomenon. You're arguing phenomenon, the word, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So if the definition says it's a cause or explanation is in question, well, there's no cause or explanation of what shadow flicker is, so it shouldn't be.
Find its thesaurus and see what it says for occurrence. I'm not trying to be smart. And I get that if we need a different word. Occurrence sounds like something I don't know,
I'm not sure we need that proposition as a whole, we could just say the sun shining
through the
through,
rotating wedge casting up.
yeah.
Yeah.
When the sun shines through the road.
Or just, the sun shining through the moving blade.
I wish Trent would have been my English class, because I never did know what a
I wish-
preposition was.
I wish should have taken my
Don't throw a comment in there, but you know.
We're gonna get into this, I'm lost.
Brandon, you still sure you want to be the IT director?
It's not too late.
That's not the occurrence.
I would probably assign this to somebody else.
That's advantage.
They just cut it out and rewrite it.
No, just for the sun shining through. Is that what-
The act of, the occurrence of, something like that,
Whatever you guys would just put the sun shining through, whatever it is, the rotating.
Or when, I think.
Well, that was the intent of that word.
Oh,
It's commonly used for, but if there's any concern about that, we can use a different word, yeah.
I'm glad we haven't got my language eccentricities on paper, so English, they can be publicly ridiculed.
Keep Rose off the dictionary.
Brad, confiscate that phone.
My God.
So, I do have a quick question before we go on the 25 megawatt on the solar. Does anybody have any idea how many panels it takes to get to a
That's what I was
25?
wondering, I don't know.
I don't have any clue, I just was, clearly somebody thought it was a comfortable
Rose will
number.
tell you here in about 5 minutes.
How many megawatts is the one in Moines County? Anybody know?
I don't know that we need to debate it, I just think we should
No, I'm
maybe
just
research it a little
curious.
bit to see what
What it
that
actually
actually is. Just that's,
I think
It sounds like a lot.
I think
but
the
don't
one
know.
on the hospital campus is 10 megawatts, but I'd have to double check, so.
Oh, it is?
I think.
I think Tom got it right, a lot.
yeah, there we go.
My own.
Yeah, that would be
Make
good.
sure we're
That would be
satisfied
nice
with that
to know.
number.
Yeah, we can look into that for sure.
I wouldn't guess it was 10 megawatts out there, but I don't know anything about it, so.
Yeah.
You know, Notre Dame has one in the college,
Oh, no, she's got her phone out.
How many megawatts is yours out there?
Google says the Wapello Solar Project in Louisa County is a 100 megawatt solar farm.
That takes a lot of ground.
It takes a lot, that's, I believe it's 800 acres, and I think they got about 400 panels to an acre.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna attempt to do the math by hand.
It'd be about, if it's 100 watt, that'd be about 200 acres per 25.
Yeah. 200 acres and,
Wow.
I mean, that's assuming, making some assumptions,
and 40,000 panels.
but it might be something we just wanna look at to make sure we're satisfied with 25, and we don't want that lower. I don't think we want it higher, but.
Right. We might want that a little bit lower if it takes 200 acres,
Yeah, no
and
doubt.
40,000 panels to get to.
I mean, I know when these companies are coming around, the kind of companies that we're seeing, that we've seen here for solar, because some of them were looking at property bordering, we're still looking at property bordering up against me. They would like to see 800 to 1,000 acres before they make an investment. So, I mean, I think their own requirements, from what I can gather, limit the fact of whether they're interested or not. But it'd probably be good for us to understand what 25 is.
It says here, actually, 25 megawatts is approximately 50,000 solar panels.
40, how many?
For how many?
megawatts?
Or 25 megawatts.
Well, that,
Assuming that it's 400 to 500 watts per panel.
that might, might back the envelope math, 200 times, 200.
How many panels did you say that was?
It says approximately 50,000 to 62,000 panels is what.
Oh, wait, it's 400 panels an acre, so that'd be 160,000. Yeah, no, I think we probably might want to move that down a little bit.
Okay. Seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Yep, I specifically use the utilities board, the threshold there, but we can do it lower for sure. 10 or 15 maybe.
if we thought to say, thought the hospital was 10, or?
I think I saw that, but I'd have to double check. Alright, so if we're good with definitions, the next one is very simple, largely unchanged from the initial, the 2023 ordinance on page 33. It actually used to be at the very back of the ordinance, but it moved it to so that it immediately follows the permitting section.
Which page are you on?
33. Yeah. So this is it's referred on the agenda as Met Towers. So that's basically shorthand for meteorological evaluation towers. So this is the towers that they put up to test wind speeds in an area that they're looking at potentially building a wind farm. So this, not all local ordinances regulate these since they're temporary structures for that purpose. But the primary concerns would be ensuring that it's visible for aircraft in the area and that it actually does get removed following once it's no longer in use and the wind farm has already been developed, so it's not just sitting there vacant. So this basically provides for a simplified permitting process wherein the administrator would collect the information about the site of the proposed Met Tower and verify that it meets several basic requirements, minimum requirements, and then would be permitted through that process. And so really everything is the same except they're actually, if you look at the very end on page 34, we added a section in there for any Met Tower that may have been installed prior to the adoption of the ordinance, and that's specifically addressing the fact that there already are 2 Met Towers that were permitted under this process for the proposed wind farm in the northwest part of the county, and those were installed a couple of years ago. So that already followed the process for the minimum requirements. So the only thing that's left there is making sure it actually gets taken down once the if that project were to proceed, it would be required to be removed at that time. So this just ensures that anything that was permitted before the readoption of this ordinance would still fall under that. So that's really all I have for that section.
So the only change, I know we talked about this a little bit on Friday and didn't have good language on how to do it, and I went back and re-looked at it. So if you look at A1, it says an application for siting permit, and that's a definition we're already using, and not for other reasons. So I think if we just take that out and just have 1 be using forms supplied by the county, which shall include the following information. So we just take that first clause out, an application for siting permit. So just have 1 using forms supplied by the county, which shall include the following information. And that way we don't run into this definitional problem of, wait, you have this whole section on what a siting permit is, and that's not an application for a Met Tower.
Well, I mean, we can. I think we need to use the word permit because that is how it's being regulated. But we can make sure that it's not a duplicate, right?
Yeah, the paragraph right before talks about the permit when proposed for temporary use in relation to a proposed commercial wind energy.
Just call it a Met Tower permit,
Or yeah, we could do that too. Yeah.
That's all I have for that section. The last one we had on the agenda for today.
Change the article.
Oh, right. He did point out, Trent did point out there were a couple of articles that would need to be modified because I think when this section was moved, it was not all updated. So it's just a couple of
33.
Yeah. So there's a couple of parts at the end of page 34. I'll have to go back and check to make sure that those citations for the other sections are still accurate.
Rose Fisher, I just wanted to ask, like, during the regular board meetings, there's a conversation if there's an application like for a subdivision and that's discussed. Does that happen when a Met Tower permit is ongoing as well? But, I mean, is that discussed at a board meeting?
As this was structured here, no, those would be approved administratively as long as those conditions, the permit would be evaluated and approved at the time. So it's not, so in the case of the actual wind farm itself being developed, that would go through the board. But
Would it not be a good idea to have that approved?
if that's what the board wants to do, that,
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a way to get the knowledge, the word out there.
It wasn't in the past. I think Jared made the board aware that was situation going on, but I just can tell you that the ones that went up did not go through the board. They weren't required to go through the board, as far as the past.
There was no permit for the Met Tower?
They went through Jared's
Yep,
office and it was handled, so, and he's the representative that before the
Okay.
county, so yes, there was that process, but not through the board, not like a subdivision. Subdivisions that, they're not comparable as far as what's going on, because somebody's splitting land and that's all a different deal, but
Has to be
yeah,
taxed.
if the board wants to go through, that's fine, I'm just telling you what was done or how it was handled.
And that was my question. I didn't know how it was.
The subdivision means that land is legally separated, so it's a different parcel of land, so it can be taxed separately.
and that is regulated by state code as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if the board wants the Met Tower stuff to go through the board, it can certainly be done. It just wasn't how it was done before.
Right.
Doesn't matter much for
As long as we've got the standards already set up, sort
a
of.
Met Tower with the standards are set up, like Shane said, I'm comfortable with that.
Well, we had one more article here. This one is new, that was not contained in the previous ordinance adopted in 2023. And this, I think, there's it's page 35, so it's Article 9, Communications and Enforcement. So this one is open to suggestions about how to structure this going forward, because basically it's meant to address the enforcement during the lifespan of a wind or solar farm.
What page are you on, Jared?
34, or, no, I'm sorry, 35.
35, and before we get into this one, I know, there's been talk of working with Russ on being the enforcing body where they'll receive reports or complaints, they'll investigate complaints and doing those things. And Southeast Ohio Regional Planning was saying that they would do the permitting and then the follow-on regulation. So before we get into it, I think we want to know what the board's intent is on that. Because I was under the understanding from prior meetings, we were going to go through Russ, Department of Health, and set it up that way.
I know what we talked about, the sound requirements and
Mike Whitner, all that's a medical thing, so the board of health should be involved in that.
in that
So I think a lot of this is just the terminology, so that the administrator is specifically defined as the person that coordinates all of and ensures compliance with the ordinance and then presents information to the board. And so if we're talking about any kind of technical guidance on whether something complies, I mean, I think we were talking specifically in regards to health. I think that's how that originally came up. So I think it definitely makes sense to have the health department and or Russ involved in reviewing documents that are submitted. But again, I think the key thing is who's actually administering the ordinance versus being involved in the process and reviewing and providing comments. So I definitely anticipated that being something that they would be involved in, but ultimately.
and I know it's tough to communicate with them right now. Was that something Russ was willing or interested in doing?
Yes, they are, and they actually do this now in Louisa County, so, but the way it's structured in Louisa County, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Trent, and Jim, with the meeting, what I got from Bruce was, the way it's done is the permitting, up until the point that it's up and operational, goes to the planning commission, but once that's operational, to make this, not have so many moving pieces, moving parts, they want to take it all forward. I mean, they would be the regulatory compliance person from the time that tower becomes operational, that solar panel becomes operational, because that's how they do it there, and it makes it easier with then going to the Board of Health and going to the Board of Supervisors and setting up a structure for complaints and follow-up. Am I missing, was there anything else that I missed out on?
No, that's pretty much what we went through. You got, that's right, Trent, that's, we sit down with them and talk to them, and they wanted to make sure a lot of it, that they're compliance with everything, especially on the bird kills and stuff like that. They're going to be inspecting that on a regular basis. And make sure nobody's out there carrying their shovel around roads.
That wasn't me, but I do have a question.
Oh, that was sent.
Hey, I heard that straight from a supervisor that experienced it.
I do have a question though.
Yeah.
So are you saying that regional planning is doing the ordinance, they will administer the permit or approve the permit, and then Russ would take over after that? Is that what you're saying?
Not, pretty much. Basically, the project's finished, Russ will take over.
And it would be through the Board of Health with a subcontract through Russ. We currently subcontract our environmental health, and so it would be the same situation, and that is how it's done through Louisa County as well.
Okay.
And it would, as I understand, it'd probably put another person on the payroll, so he spends his time here at this facility. You know, so he will be inspecting all the time.
Cindy, Newberry, paid by?
Paid by whoever puts the towers up. County.
Reimbursed, yeah.
No.
That'll be in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
We will pay them and then they'll reimburse us for it. If they don't reimburse us for it, we'll shut them down.
Okay,
Start
so-
finding them.
So for Article 9 then, I think will need to be modified, because we initially started talking about the issue of having a point of contact with the developer in the event that issues come up either during the construction process or at any point during the lifespan of the project. And so that's why we initially included some language in there that's basically under section B1, where we require that the operator provide the county with contact information for any questions and issues to be reported with the company, just to ensure that there's someone that can be contacted readily contacted in the event of any issue that may come up. So we started with that, but then there was the question of if the county were to be directly involved in any ongoing issues of enforcement that were determined to be a violation during the lifespan of the project, that the administrator would serve as the county's point of contact for that during operations. So that's why section 2 is listed in there. And so then the question then becomes, how would that relate to this process that the county is envisioning here with Russ or whoever, the Board of Health? So whether that be in place of or in addition to, specifically in regards to those health-related issues.
Should we also ask for a 24-hour emergency number that anybody could call, say if God forbid if something gets struck by lightning or something like that, that when it's midnight, then you could dial 1-800
That I believe is specifically referenced in the emergency response chapter, that has to be included in the response plan, and that information needs to be updated whenever it changes.
Perfect, okay.
And in fact, section C specifically addresses that, so the county shall be notified within 90 days if something, so that's referring to ownership of the facility itself, who's operating it. So that's for more the business side of things, whereas for section C2, it says within 48 hours if there's emergency response or emergency contact changes, they need to be notified right away.
Would that be for emergency contact for the Russ? I mean, essentially through the Board of Health, is that what you're kind of envisioning?
And I guess
there?
I'm just saying, if I see something happen at 1 o'clock in the morning, I don't want to try to get a hold of Russ or something like that. There should be a number I can call that goes to the developer. I know they've got sensors on those things that they might know it before I call, but just say something's happened. And
I think the crucial place for something like you're describing, we would need it, but dispatch. I mean, if somebody sees something no different, they see an accident in the middle of the night, lightning strike, a windmill, whatever it is, I'm assuming they're gonna call 911. I mean, you know, they're not gonna run down and look at a placard.
Yeah.
But no matter what, we still need it.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter that other people have it, landowners have it, whatever.
DESCOM needs that number.
But for sure,
Yeah,
DESCOM would need that.
Yeah.
If an after hours emergency.
You're right.
And one of the things that, if the board decides to go with the Board of Health, Russ, as a subcontract, is we do have a 24-hour emergency number through public health. They just call our public health number. It's answered 24 hours a day. We utilize a answering service for that because that's required since we're Medicare, Medicaid certified. So that would be an option, and then that would, then be a contact that we would do directly with Russ and make sure the follow-up is made with whoever the developer.
Well, it's DESCOM has that number so that you can dial 911. Yeah.
I think the company, what's her name, Evie, sit over here one time and said that there are going to be people in the community that's going to be working on them, that if something happened, we could call that, so they should have a number 24/7 there too. That would be the first person to call, because they would go out, make the first call.
But when you get into the battery and the solar, there probably won't be somebody right there, so that's when that becomes even more.
A link to 911.
So, the last part of this section here, now just thinking out loud, we're talking about the involvement of the Board of Health, Russ, et cetera. So, as written right now, for inspections and required access, we have a thing in here that specifically says that the administrator shall be allowed access to the permitted wind solar facility during the construction or any point during the lifespan. And we do have a clause in there underneath that says the administrator may utilize the assistance of a third-party consultant during such inspections, and any such consultant shall be allowed access to the system. So conceivably that would apply to Russ or whoever, and then that would be, if that process were to change to use a different entity for that at any point in the lifespan, and that language would still apply.
You want the administrator, or since we're talking about after the fact and the board's talking about using public health, which is a subcontract,
right.
Administrator in this entire ordinance is regional planning.
Right.
Should this be the county or designee? And then the designee would kick to public health, which would then be actually Russ. I don't know if you want the word administrator in this situation.
We could specify county staff or whatever.
Well, I don't think
it's
okay, so.
I'm just saying, if we wanna go with Russ, I think we should set this separately, then have Bruce come in and look at it and have more of a say in, hey, this is the language that I want.
Yeah.
If they're going to want
Yeah,
something.
definitely. Whatever they think is appropriate to make it work. This section is largely a work in progress, so that we can certainly be flexible on how they want to handle that.
So I'm knocking on wood. Are we done before noon?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Come on, fish.
Just kidding.
Come on, bring it, fish.
I do have a question.
Oh, there we go. Fire away.
Cindy?
Yes. Cindy.
To who?
Anyway, I assume that
I told you these damn phones listen to you all the time.
I have a question to who?
I got it here, okay.
Cindy's still going.
Ladies first.
Dewberry.
Okay. Anyway, I assume you saw the thing, from the city of West Burlington about Alliant. Anybody? The paper? Okay, so it's about Alliant having to do these new things, buy new things. We're currently in the early stages of a project to construct 5 reciprocating interval combustion engine units at our Burlington generating station. You didn't see this?
I did, and I don't know what a reciprocal energy.
It's a
diesel engine.
It's a diesel engine
Okay.
or a, yeah,
Thank
LP.
you.
Or LP. And in fact, that's in the comments. That would be easier to say that. Anyway, these are called RICE units, and each unit can produce 18.8 megawatts for a total output or whatever. Okay, RICE units can start quickly in approximately 5 minutes and efficiently run multiple times a day as needed, improving efficiency and flexibility. They balance intermittent resources like solar and wind. So now they have to invest in all this to compensate for wind and solar.
Yeah, they can't.
Where's that price gonna go? And I'm gonna find out how much those cost. So they can
That's, and I don't doubt any of that, but that isn't what this board deals with. That's federal policy.
I know.
When they have, that's entirely out of, as far as this board's concerned, or at least I'm concerned, it's a legal business.
So,
yeah, I'm
It
just
does-
saying that.
Yeah, I
It's a
get
hidden
that.
cost that's put on us, right?
Oh, I don't, anybody that researches this knows that solar and wind can't keep up.
I'm not arguing with you
Okay.
on the veracity of your statement.
Charlie.
CT.
Charlie Tompkins. I saw a lot of, I heard a lot of references to Lee County, what they do. One reference today to Louisa County. I heard no references to Henry County, what they're doing, or Washington County, which is also our sister counties.
The reason you're here.
Why are we getting all these, why are we finding, I think you would wanna go west, because if we go further west, the more wind we have. I mean, that's where all the windmills are, is west and north.
The reason you're here in Lee County, because Lee County and Louisa County, they took the ordinance that we started in 2022 with, that we got. So regional planning took our ordinance down and they looked at it and they wanted to beef ours up. And that's why you're hearing what Lee County did and what Louisa County did. And we liked what they did, so that's some of the things, so we added them to our ordinance. That's why you hear Lee County.
Well, specifically for Louisa, we actually weren't directly involved with that. We consulted with them when they were first talking about the solar ordinance, and that was even before we worked with Des Moines County. So that's, but they had someone that was working on that. We just provided general feedback, and so that's one that's already been in place for quite a while now.
We were just discussing administration of the public health, you know, that Russ already takes care of one solar installation, and this is what they do, and that's who Des Moines County uses for public health, or for environmental health. So it would be someone that has experience in it, that already works for Des Moines County Public Health. That would be a natural assumption for us. We give them the rules, and then they go out there and enforce them.
But it doesn't really satisfy me that much, Tom, because a county that we're talking to, or that I just brought up, I think they have zero experience in wind energy and windmills and wind farms.
Which county is
I
that?
mean, is there another big wind farm in Moines County and Lee
No, but
County?
they have the big solar
sorry?
facility. They have a big solar facility,
Yeah,
and
I'm not here
that's
for
what we're
solar,
talking
I'm
about.
here for wind.
Well,
But even for wind, that was our template that they put theirs together with. Am I correct on that, Jared? Wasn't it our template that,
Which one, Liza?
Lee County?
Yeah, so basically,
So then
we regional planning worked with them, we presented what Des Moines County already had, and then we started a discussion, held some work sessions, there was some public input, and modifications were made based on what the Lee County board was interested in there.
I have one question, and it's not 11:30 yet, so I don't think it'll be controversial at all. But I had mentioned, some time back that, I spoke to someone in Illinois, and they had a provision in their ordinance that if, the proximity of, wind turbines causes a non-participating landowner to incur additional costs for crop dusting, that those additional costs would be borne by the wind developer.
Okay.
Anyway, and I don't know where you stick that in there.
That was one where the crop spraying was specifically addressed in the permitting chapter in terms of what kinds of documents need to be supplied. There's nothing in there specifically about that now, it's just that was one where I think we needed more discussion on
But
that.
we can stick something in there to that effect, and that the gentleman I talked to said, and I suspect this won't have any effect much in the future because it'll be drones. But regardless, that there was an excess or, an additional fee of like $10 or $15 an acre, where if you have crop dusted and there's wind turbines in whatever the distance would be, that you get charged additional instead of, I have no idea, instead of $20 an acre, maybe it's $30 an acre.
So was this in an ordinance?
That was the guy I spoke to, he was,
I'd be interested in any language that has already been used for this, because that's part of the challenge.
Yeah, anyway, and he was on the zoning commission, in central Illinois, they have wind farms over there.
Yeah.
And he said, he got that in there, so that whatever that, additional cost, or he called it a nuisance cost, of having turbines in the vicinity, I will get that language.
Yes, I really appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. That's the key thing when we know exactly how do we word that. But I get it.
I don't think there's any pushback on that from either side.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Way about there?
Thanks, Jared. I want to say thanks to the crew. You guys have been consistent, bringing your Google phones and whatnot, but this has been interesting, and we could not have gotten this far without the crew. So, just want to give a shout out to you guys for helping us get this done.